Have I been being overcharged for using my credit card at the pump and I just haven't noticed it? I could have been getting screwed over this whole time and I never would have known. You might be also. Imagine this, you've pulled up to a gas station, you're all ready to fill up, and then you're hit with an extra $1 per gallon surcharge simply because you inserted a credit card as your form of payment. Sounds like a scam, right? Well, it's actually reality across many states across the US. But why exactly is it happening, and is there anything that you can do about it? Today, we're going to be investigating why some gas stations are charging more because customers are choosing to pump with a credit card, and find out how exactly this practice works and why it's legal. So before we investigate any further, let's first talk about why a gas station would do this. You see, when you use a credit card to pay at the pump, the gas station itself has to pay a fee in order to process that payment. This is called an interchange fee. Credit card companies will charge merchants anywhere from an average of 1.5% to 3.5%. It just kind of depends on what the payment processor is, whether it's a Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. So for the gas station or the merchant, a $50 fill up at the pump could add up to $3.50 in fees. As time has gone on, gas stations have started adding a surcharge to combat these fees that credit card processing companies have been hitting them with. However, just recently, in some cases, these can be up to $1 more per gallon surcharge. That's right, you didn't mishear me. $1 more per gallon. Not $1 surcharge on the entire filling up of your tank, $1 per gallon. I want to watch this news story because it was very, very eye-opening, and this just happened last month. Investigative reporter Dave Bowman in Florida found several gas stations charging an extra $1 per gallon just because customers wanted to use a credit card.
Gas stations charging $1 more per gallon for drivers who pay by credit card than those who pay with cash.
After a recent report, some of you contacted investigative reporter Dave Bowman wondering if this practice is legal, especially if the dollar difference isn't displayed on those signs that drivers see from the road.
Yeah, so we're gonna watch it, I swear. I'm gonna try to not talk throughout this entire thing. But what ended up happening was people were noticing that when they would insert their credit card to start paying at the pump, that the dollar amount changed. And a lot of people were confused, and there was even people that went into the gas station to ask questions about this because they're like, is this a glitch? Is this an error? It says, $3.15 on the sign, but it says $4.15 at the pump. And it only read that after they inserted the credit card. And so a lot of people are feeling baited and switched by this because there is no clear advertising for a credit card price prior to inserting your credit card at the pump. So one might even say that this could be a form of deceptive pricing, because when you pull up to this gas station, if you're not paying attention, you insert your credit card, you start pumping, you are assuming that you're paying the price that is looking at you on the marquee when you pulled in. You might not be paying attention to the digital price that's where you're pumping your gas, and you're paying a whopping $1 more per gallon. So what ended up happening was people were starting to see this indiscrepancy at the pump. They started calling news station, and then Dave Bowman was on the case.
Dave first exposed that dollar difference in November, joining us now in studio.
Dave, is this even legal?
Shannon, Megan, that $1 a gallon extra for credit card use is legal, which means you, the driver, need to be aware of the potential difference in costs. A local businessman says his newfound awareness saves his company thousands. North County Cooling has a fleet of 12 trucks.
Our gas bills monthly are around $3,000.
Pat Igo owns this air conditioning and repair company. He recently went to fill up a truck near his business, and when he stopped at the pump,
And I noticed that in the little box at the bottom that it didn't match the price that was out at the street.
it was $1 a gallon more to pay by credit card. So Igo went in to see the manager, asking, is this some kind of mistake?
And he goes, no, I can make it any number I want. And so I walked out.
Pat Igo and other drivers say they're noticing significantly higher charges for credit card users by more service stations. I first showed the difference back in November when callers said, we really need to look at this.
I definitely felt like I was getting taken advantage of.
Robert Zeicher was livid when he showed us the sign on the Chevron station at the corner of Indiantown Road and alternate A1A in Jupiter. It advertised gas at $3.15 a gallon on the sign you could see from the road. At first, he didn't notice the much smaller sign on the pump showing credit card users will have to pay $1 a gallon more. When did you learn you were paying $4.15 instead of $3.15?
After I finished pumping my 8 gallons of gas, and I was shocked that I paid $35.
Back then, we found the Chevron in Jupiter and 2 other stations near the interstate exit in West Palm Beach on Okeechobee Boulevard, charging $1 a gallon higher for credit card users. Days after I started asking questions, the stations dropped the difference between cash and credit to 90 cents a gallon.
So what I find interesting about that is that a new station contacts the gas stations and they drop their price, probably out of fear of repercussion of all of this information being public, but they only dropped it 10 cents a gallon. So they dropped it from $1 extra a gallon to 90 cents extra a gallon. Why even do that?
5 months later, I followed up at that Chevron on Indiantown and alternate A1A in Jupiter, at the BP near the I-95 exit on Okeechobee Boulevard in West Palm Beach, and at the Shell across Okeechobee Boulevard from the BP. I found all stations charging credit card users $1 a gallon more for regular gas. I also priced 4 service stations in Palm Beach County where people filed complaints with the Florida Attorney General's office. This Shell at Tequesta on US 1. This Gardens Market Shell at North Lake and Military Trail. This Exxon station on Okeechobee Boulevard in West Palm Beach. And the Chevron on North Federal Highway in Boca Raton. All of them charging credit card users an extra $1 a gallon. At all 7 stations, I went inside to find out why they're charging credit card users $1 more. Some had no comment. Others said, speak to the service station owners. But they weren't around.
Do I agree with how it works? Not really, but they're independents and they're allowed to set the pricing the way that they want to.
Ned Bowman is the executive director of the Florida Petroleum Marketing Association. It represents 7,000 stations selling gas in our state. Bowman says several cities and counties, including Palm Beach County, once had ordinances requiring visible posting of cash versus credit prices. But in 2015, state lawmakers passed a law negating local rules for gas station signs. Bowman supports the idea of uniform statewide rules. As he said, some counties had different regulations regarding height, color, or locations of signs. As for not displaying the discrepancy of cash versus credit prices,
you have fair market and free market. You hate to say it, but buyer beware. But if you do get caught in that thing, you have the right not to go back there ever again.
Pat Igo makes sure his crews never go back to stations that charge $1 a gallon more. He doesn't mind the ones that add 5 or 10 cents a gallon to cover the fees credit card companies charge businesses.
That's normal. That's what they should be charging.
But when the discrepancy is $1 a gallon,
There should be a law showing what they're going to charge you if you use a credit card.
only the states of Maryland, Massachusetts, and Connecticut mandate gas stations post cash and credit prices that a driver can see from the road. Since Florida has no law, here's what you can do to protect yourself. Look closely at the pump before inserting your credit card, and the price isn't clear, ask the clerk inside to see the per gallon difference. You can also withdraw from your bank's ATM before filling up. And be especially careful at stations near major highways. These stations don't always depend on repeat customers as much as ones in neighborhood shopping centers.
I also didn't know that there's only 3 states in the US that mandate that gas stations have to post a cash price and a credit price. You know, I live in Kansas, if you didn't know, and I remember driving highways and seeing signs that had a cash price and a credit price. But As years have gone on, I don't see them anymore. They're not on signs anymore. And I always kind of wondered why. Now I have to think, have I been being overcharged for using my credit card at the pump and I just haven't noticed it? It might not be $1 extra per gallon, but what if it's 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents a gallon, and I'm just not paying attention? Do you pay attention at the pump? I don't always, and I am the kind of person, I do use a credit card at the pump. You know, I like to take advantage of credit card cashback bonuses and points. I use a credit card for basically everything, and I just pay it off at the end of the month. And so I would be the kind of person that would be affected by this, and I would probably likely be the person that would be duped by something like this because I'm not looking at the price after I've inserted my credit card and pulled it out, because Kansas was not one of the states where they have to say what the cash price versus the credit price is on the signage. I could have been getting screwed over this whole time and I never would have known. You might be also. I did really like his tip where he talked about avoiding gas stations that were on major highways versus ones that were in neighborhoods and deep into town, because a lot of people will use the same gas stations over and over again. So I think those gas stations probably wouldn't want to, you know, piss off their regular users by charging them an extra 50 cents to $1 more per gallon just for using a credit card. But a gas station that's off of a highway or a travel center where they may or may not see those customers ever again, they're gonna suck every penny that they can out of that credit card surcharge. Because if they piss off that customer that they may or may not have ever saw again anyway, that customer's just not gonna return, but there's gonna be a whole lot of other unsuspecting customers driving through off of the highway. Now, there are some states, I believe like California, Colorado, Texas, those states will ban certain use of excess fees. They either limit them or ban surcharges entirely. But many states do allow surcharges as long as they are displayed at the time of sale. Meaning it doesn't have to be displayed before the sale, it has to be displayed when payment is being taken, which is what happens when you insert your credit card when you pay at the pump. So if you are not paying attention after you've inserted your credit card, the prices at the pump could very well be different than what was advertised on the sign when you first pulled in. Now, in addition to state laws, Visa and MasterCard also have rules about surcharges. And now that is between the merchant and Visa or MasterCard, but usually they try to limit the amount of money that a surcharge can be for a Visa or MasterCard payment processor. And again, it has to be clearly displayed at the time of purchase. But what's a little bit sneaky is these gas stations are abiding by these laws. They're abiding by the limits set forth by Visa and MasterCard because they are displaying the price that is being charged at the pump. The thing is, it's up to the customer to be paying close enough attention to realize that that number on the pump could be higher than when they pulled in because they inserted a credit card for payment. Without news stories like this existing, without investigative journalists like Dave Bowman, we might not have realized. It's up to the customer who is vigilant and paying attention to alert the general public that this is even a thing, because merchants don't necessarily have to tell you. So me, every time I insert a credit card at the pump, I'm going to be double checking that digit that it matches what's on the sign. And if it's not, I'm canceling the transaction and I'm going elsewhere. Have you ever encountered a gas surcharge when you've paid at the pump? And I'm not talking about just a little 3% card fee at the register. I'm talking about a per gallon charge just for using your credit card. Have you ever experienced this? Let me know down in the comments below. Did you know that this was a thing that could happen? Are you yourself going to be more vigilant and check those numbers when you pump your gas? Let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please do remember to give this video a thumbs up if you like content like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you have not already. Ring that notification bell, that way you're notified whenever I post my next video. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you with the next one. Bye.